you think, Peter, is playing better football right now?
What a cool question, because you look at the standings and you see a 6-0 and then you see a 4-2 or 5-2 and you say, well, the Chiefs also beat the Ravens when they played. So obviously it's got to be the Chiefs. But this is not about standings. This is not about power ranking. It's who's playing better football right now. And I have a complicated answer. I would say the Ravens are playing more dominating football. That's on the offensive side of the ball. I still think the Ravens have some holes on defense. And don't be starting throwing crab kicks at me in Baltimore. But if you're watching the Ravens this season, teams can still move the ball all over the Ravens. We know what the Raiders did in the fourth quarter when Minshew was able to find the end zone and hit Devontae Adams and Brock Bowers. But even on Monday night, when I'm watching a 41-18 lead disappear at the end, and it actually became a 10-point game late, and the Buccaneers were able to move the ball. I look at that Baltimore defense. It's not what we're used to. Zach Orr is a 32-year-old defensive coordinator. He comes in here, and they are not at the tops at any of these rankings. If you look at defense and their stats, and on a full screen, if we have it here, their defense still leaves a lot to be desired. Passing defense specifically, they're 26th in points per game allowed. They're last in passing yards games allowed. Yeah, for all the talk we do about Humphrey and Stevens and then, of course, Kyle Hamilton, you could throw the ball all over the Ravens. So I say this. Who's playing better football right now? Who's more dominating? Look, Lamar is my pick for the National Football League's MVP at this moment. That offense, to me, is the best offense in football. And if I'm having to pick on a neutral field right now who I'd rather watch, it's the Ravens. But the Chiefs can move the ball when they have to. They find a way to win when they have to. And in those big moments, I have no faith or no precedent that the Ravens' pass defense can stop Josh Allen, can stop Patrick Mahomes, can stop, you pull out whatever team that can throw the ball through the air. And I'm not so certain that the Zach Orr defense can do the job in a big spot in January yet. So who's playing better football right now? It's complicated. The Ravens better on offense. The Chiefs way better on defense. We'd have to see it again for us to know who exactly would win in a game like that.
Yeah, I think it is a complicated question. It is very hard to get into it. But I think if you're saying, hey, look here, how do you call it out? Straight and simple. For me, it comes down to the W's. And right now, nobody is winning better than the Kansas City Chiefs. And I think it says a lot about how they're doing in adversity. You go, well, adversity, 6-0, I don't get it. This is an offense that hasn't been producing the way we know. This is a team that has been known traditionally for the type of offensive production that they've had, and they've struggled in that. Look, they beat the San Francisco 49ers by 10 points, but when you think about it, they had 0 passing touchdowns in this game. Like, wait, what? They had 145 yards passing. What does this tell me? This team has intestinal fortitude. They find a win to win, and this is where you judge a team. Yeah, okay, you look at the Baltimore Ravens, they cooking right now. All the things on all cylinders right now, they're looking like they're playing good. Obviously, we know defensively, like you talked about, Peter, struggling on the backside there with the defensive in the passing game. But when I look at a team, I want to measure them by how they handle adversity. And right now, they're finding a way to win. They're undefeated even when having adversity in the passing game. Running has been their staple right now. They've been able to be very, very effective in the run game.
Yeah, no, I love what, Peter, you were saying. It's a tale of two different stories where the Ravens, that's the offensive team. That's the offensive highlight that we're watching week in and week out. But it's the defense for the Chiefs that's been their stronghold. That's been the strong point of this team. I would have to say, as of October 24th, it's the Ravens for me. Like you don't have you can't look past Lamar Jackson and his 5 touchdowns that he just threw last week, and Mark Andrews and that connection heating up. Earlier in this season, you didn't see that connection, and everybody was like, "Oh wow, I wonder if Isaiah Likely has replaced Mark Andrews." Hold up, everybody. Mark Andrews is still there, and he's still producing at a very high level. And not to mention, Derrick Henry leads the NFL in rushing yards, in rushing touchdowns. And by the way, Keaton Mitchell, I don't know if anybody remembers this young cat, the rookie. Keaton Mitchell is on his way back. So this offense is continuing to look dangerous with Zay Flowers and all of those guys. Now, the Ravens, to Peter's point, the Ravens defense they do need to play with a little bit more consistency. I know after the Bills game, we were talking about, oh, this is that Ravens defense. They're dominating people. Yeah, past few weeks, they haven't been up to that type of caliber that we've been used to seeing the Ravens defense for so many years and that dominance. So if they're able to get that consistency there, it's going to be scary. And so for me, right now, at October 24th, it's the Ravens.
Yeah, it's interesting. So yesterday, the Chiefs come out and they show that they're the aggressors in the situation. They look at the landscape and they say, okay, DeAndre Hopkins can help us where we might be suffering from injuries and might be weak. The pass rush for the Ravens, which was great against the Bills. Manti, in that Sunday night game, I was like, this is the complete version of the Ravens. Their offense and their defense. I know it's early in the season in week 4 or week 5, whenever that was, but it was like, that's kind of – do the Ravens then, not on offense, they don't need Cooper Kupp, they don't need a wide receiver. Do the Ravens start looking for pass rushers? And I look at names around the league that could be, on the block. And last year, they got a career year out of Jadeveon Clowney. He's 30 years old right now. Jadeveon Clowney is wasting away in Carolina on a team that's going nowhere. Do they pick up the phone and say, I know he signed for big money last year with you guys. Is there any way you'll eat some of the salary that's left and we can bring him back for this stretch run? I look at Zadarius Smith, who's in the division over there in Cleveland. I look at some of these teams that we expected to be maybe playoff contender teams that have these big veteran pass rushers, and I wonder if they do the same thing they did last year when they brought in a Kyle Van Noy and a Clowney, and they added some of those veteran guys to just get them over the hump. I do think this defense right now, which is so strange talking about a Baltimore team, is their Achilles heel, and I just don't know if that's going to be there in the backbone of the team when it matters in the cold weather in January and who knows, maybe even February.
Well, something I think we also need to consider is this is only the second year for Lamar Jackson in this offense under offensive coordinator Todd Monken, still really getting their legs under them, and they don't play preseason. So those first 2 games, I'll give you guys a mulligan on those. Also, Peter, as you mentioned, this is just the first year under defensive coordinator Zach Orr. Last year, it was Mike McDonald, who is now the head coach in Seattle. So for me, the fact that Baltimore hasn't missed a beat, but the fact that they've had these new coordinators at both those positions, really, I think is a testament to what they're able to do. Love the Chiefs. I appreciate what they do. I'm definitely glued to all these Ravens games. And you have to also think about the addition of Derrick Henry, which was almost their Achilles heel when they played the Chiefs in that AFC Championship game. For you, Akbar, when you think of the addition of Derrick Henry, we talked about the tools that Patrick Mahomes has. How much can they rely on Derrick Henry if we take a step back? Big picture, can he be that game changer they've been looking for?
I mean, he is. I mean, absolutely. It's an element that no one can stop. I've said it the whole time. This is, to me, is flashback going back to Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant. That was the combo, and I think everyone knows it. Like, there's no disrespect on this offense and what they're able to do. Derrick Henry adds that element. There's a toughness to it, his ability to get outside, his ability to run downhill, whether you're doing zone running, gap run. I mean, this is a dude who can do it all, like, in my opinion. And then when you're supported with a quarterback who also aids in the run game, it makes it very hard. From a defensive standpoint, this is a nightmare to defend because you just don't, especially once they start implementing and doing that RPO, it is very confusing. It keeps you lighter on your feet, and when you're lighter on your feet, you're kind of a little bit wishy-washy in trying to figure out how to dissect their game. So they're very, very lethal.
You have to respect the run and the pass. I mean, Manti, you can speak to that, too, of being a linebacker having to tackle Derrick Henry running at you full speed.
Yeah, no, you just look back to the game against the Buccaneers. The first half, I remember watching it, and Derrick Henry, we're trying to figure out why isn't Derrick Henry in the game? Why isn't he playing? Why isn't he getting more snaps? And you look at the score, and it was a lot closer than a lot of people anticipated. And then the second half comes around, and Derrick Henry just goes off. He starts getting the touches. I think he had like 20-plus touches in the second half, and you see these explosive runs coming up from him. You start seeing that offense start to catch its groove and start to hit a stride, and all of it is predicated around that man right there, Derrick Henry. When Derrick Henry is able to have these type of runs, the type of candidate runs for anger runs for Kyle Brandt, usually that it's a good thing for the Baltimore Ravens. So Derrick Henry is such a big part of this offense. As he's going, this offense is going to continue to get a lot of success.
And what he does is not just gain yards and it's like an avalanche. And once he starts going, it's like it just builds and builds, and it's demoralizing for the defense. Come the fourth quarter, you don't want to tackle Derrick Henry like you did in the first quarter. So they could start off the game going on, but when he gets going in that second half, he's the ultimate closer. He is the Mariano Rivera of the NFL right now.
Yes.
And they've gone to him, and that's his cutter, and it's basically lower my shoulder and try to tackle me. There were business decisions that were being made for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense on some of those runs, and I don't blame them. To get in front of that thing is like getting in front of a locomotive. So that could be the difference, but they have to get a lead to really rely on that. I don't think you can win playoff games if you're down a touchdown or down 10 points, just handing it off to Derrick Henry and saying, hey, go do your thing. Fortunately, Lamar is throwing the ball better than he ever has before as well.